Shortly after the vote, both the locks were changed at his official office and Santos's name plate was removed. We've got team coverage of all of today's developments and what comes next. And we're going to start out with Kevin Frey in our Washington, D.C. bureau, who's been tracking Santos since his campaign days. Good evening, Kevin.
Yeah, good evening, Errol. It has been a dramatic 11 months on Capitol Hill for Congressman George Santos, and all ended in just a matter of about 5 minutes on the House floor.
Congressman George Santos saying goodbye as the House of Representatives votes to expel him.
He has been a stain on the institution. He's been an embarrassment for his constituents and others in New York.
Santos survived 2 previous expulsion attempts, but that was before a scathing ethics committee report accusing him of deceiving donors, making up fictitious loans, and stealing from his campaign, spending money on everything from cosmetic treatments to a porn site.
Hey, Kevin.
Santos also has been charged in a 23-count federal indictment that alleges he engaged in money laundering, wire fraud, and other crimes.
This was about right versus wrong. This was about the institution and the country, above all else.
311 lawmakers voted to remove Santos, more than the 2/3 needed. 105 of his fellow Republicans voted yes, among them New Yorkers in swing districts facing tough elections next year. House GOP leaders voted against expulsion, including Representative Elise Stefanik, who tweeted that she had concerns about due process.
Being and having such a slim majority and losing a member is difficult. So I understand the position that they were in.
Santos is just the 6th congressman to be expelled, including 3 shown the door for fighting for the Confederacy during the Civil War. Some constituents from his Queens and Nassau County district traveled to D.C. for the vote.
With this kind of grift, to understand that they will be thrown out, and that's very important.
As the House prepared to vote, Santos said he was at peace.
If I could do it different, I would have definitely separated myself from some people, would have not gotten involved with certain people. But, you know, this is part of, I guess, God's plan.
George Santos.
He did not wait for the final results, leaving Capitol Hill in a car before they were announced.
Now, Errol, this chapter of the Santos saga may be done, but his story is by no means finished. He now faces all of those legal woes. He's set to go to trial on that 23-count federal indictment, at least as it stands right now, in September.
And so now, Kevin, he could have avoided some of this, right? I mean, there are penalties short of expulsion that the House might have considered. Do we know if he ever tried to negotiate something like censure, where you stand in the well of the House and are officially condemned, or anything short of expulsion?
I mean, look, some lawmakers, I can imagine, from New York would have likened that to essentially a slap on the wrist if they had gone down that road. And Santos said throughout this process, at least within the last couple of days, that he's never engaged in the way of trying to basically lobby his colleagues in the House to vote for him, to vote to save him. So whether or not he was engaging in that sort of negotiation, I don't believe so. I've not heard anything to that effect. Keep in mind, he wasn't even engaging, according to the Ethics Committee, with their investigation, which is part of what they highlighted in their report.
Right. I mean, no, what I'd heard was that they'd warned him in advance that if you don't resign, we're going to drop this ethics report and life is going to really change for the worse for you. And I guess he didn't take that threat seriously.
No, clearly not. And I mean, he was facing mounting pressure to resign when he announced this press conference yesterday, which took place yesterday, but he announced it a couple weeks ago. When that announcement came, there was some speculation maybe this is when he'll resign, and there was some thought that perhaps House leadership was holding off on holding this vote until after that press conference, giving him essentially one final chance to decide to resign rather than be a part of that very elite group of 6 individuals now that have been expelled from the House. But he didn't take that option. He has been defiant throughout recent days. He refuses to go through line by line and explain what he did versus what is being alleged in the ethics report. And so now he is gone.
Okay.